So before I get into the actual video, I just want to announce that I now have some form of merchandise, which of course is based on the infamous Stole Your Stones meme. So if you want to go ahead and show support, I will be leaving the link in the description as always. But let's go ahead and get started. How's it going, guys? Alex here, and welcome to my SSR Analysis Series revamp. And basically I'm going to be going more in depth than ever before, and I will be covering one unit per video just to ensure that I get everything down. And the format of these videos are definitely going to be different in some areas in comparison to my previous SSR Analysis videos, and of course the notable difference is that I'm in the actual video. So to quickly familiarize you guys with how these videos are going to work, there's going to be four main areas that I'm going to cover in these videos. First one is pretty basic. I'll just go over the actual card from the leader skill to the link set and just give my overall thoughts. The second area is going to consist of a small showcase of their offensive and defensive abilities at 100% in the potential system, and in the future I'm going to show the units with no potential system buffs, but for today's video in particular I will be showing off Vegito at 100% briefly. But to be honest, this is probably where I need the most feedback. Should I show off the units at 100% and with no buffs? Should I just show them off at 100%, show them off with no buffs? Something completely different? Let me know in the comments as always. Third area, I'm going to be going over the best teams upon their release and in the current meta. And then of course the last area, which is pretty simple, is their relevance upon release and their relevance now. Also, this isn't really a main area, but I suppose you can include it if you like. In the final portion of the video, I am going to be ranking the unit out of 5. The ranking system is pretty simple, but it's only relevant to a few of the areas, and the scores are based on a system I have in place for each area, where every unit could potentially get between 1 and 5 stars. But I'll go a bit more in depth as to how the units can get certain stars once I get to those areas. Now, the unit that I'm going to be covering today is none other than Super Vegito, who is one of the most popular characters in the entirety of the Dragon Ball series, and he is currently the only Super Vegito in the game. But alongside physical Broly, he did introduce the 70% meta, which in the eyes of many was the golden age of Dokkan. But as always, let's go ahead and get started with his leader skill. He gives a 70% stat boost to agility types as well as free ki. So the special thing about this leader skill upon its release is that it introduced an entire new meta of mono teams, and if you don't know what a mono team is, basically it's a team that just consists of one type, and that was something that was never really prominent in the game. The large majority of the time people would just simply run rainbow teams as that was the best thing to use. Granted, that did mainly come down to the fact that Super Gogeta was the best lead in the game at the time, but even before Gogeta you would have leads like Turles and Ultimate Gohan who were rainbow leads and were the go-to leaders for a large portion of the teams prior to the release of Gogeta. But if we move back to Vegito, not only did he introduce a meta of mono teams alongside Broly, but he was also the first lead in the game to provide as much support with his leader skill in terms of stat boost. Eventually, everyone realized that despite mono teams not being as fun to use as rainbow teams, mono agility is just simply superior in so many aspects. And this honestly comes down to the fact that the leader skill provides so much in terms of health, attack, and defense. Now, this is the part where things get interesting. So as you can clearly see, his super attack causes immense damage, and you have to keep in mind that immense damage was such a rare thing back when he was released. So for him to have something like that was just absolutely insane, and not even Broly got it, and they were released at the exact same time. Also, on top of his immense damage modifier, he also has a 12 ki multiplier of 150%, which is the best in the game at the moment for an SSR. And he also gives a 30% attack boost to all of your allies for 1 turn. Now, this can be slightly misleading. This is actually equivalent to around a 7% boost, according to some calculations on the Dokkan subreddit. And of course, if I can find that particular post, I'll do my very best to have it linked in the description or comment section. But basically what this means is that this boost from the super attack mechanic is significantly weaker than the boost that a support unit would give with their passive. Now, by far the most interesting and most overpowered part about his card is his passive skill, and no one really knew what it meant when he was first announced, because we have never seen a mechanic like this before, so it definitely had people intrigued, including myself. And upon using this card, people instantly realized how overpowered he is. Not only can he take double-digit damage from normal attacks, but he can also deal damage in return, potentially multiple times depending on where you are being attacked. Even before the release of the potential system and the 120% lead, Super Vegito could easily reach 1 million total damage due to the sheer power of his super attacks and counters. And the thing is, he doesn't even get an attack increase from his own passive or super attack. The only time that Super Vegito ever gets the boost from the super attack mechanic is when he gets an additional super attack to go off. I honestly don't know why that is, but he only benefits from that boost the second time that he super attacks, which is now possible with the help of the potential system. But the point is, despite not getting any attack increase, the fact that he can still reach that amount of damage upon his release is honestly beyond words. No unit in the game could even come close to that sort of damage until the release of Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. All of Vegito's attacks attack comes from how high his attack stat is, his attack links, his 12 key multiplier, and of course the 140% attack boost that he gets from the double Super Vegito leader skill. Now moving on to his link set, which is honestly the most straightforward part about his card. He has Golden Warrior, which is a 1 key link, Super Saiyan, which is a 10% attack link, Prepare for Battle, which is a 2 key link, Power Bestowed by God, which is a 2500 attack link, Fused Fighter, which is a 2 key link, Shocking Speed, another 2 key link, and then of course we have Fierce Battle, which is a 15% attack link. So overall he has a pretty solid link set. He has the main links for his particular team, with the main ones being Shocking Speed and Prepare for Battle. And of course, once Vegito Blue came out, the Fused Fighter link was utilised way more frequently on a hero team. Okay, now we are moving on to the first area where the ranking system applies, and of course this is me showing off Super Vegito at 100% in the potential system. And of course, if you want full gameplay, I will be leaving several links at the end for a full 100% Super Vegito showcase. Now to quickly go over the ranking system, is going to be 3 different areas that I'm going to cover. The first area is offensive abilities, which of course is based on a 1 to 5 star ranking. And as you can see right now, it is very specific, and I tried to be as fair as possible when it came to certain star levels. But again, if you guys think I should make any changes to the ranking system, let me know in the comment section down below. So for the 1 star rank, we have between 1k damage and 250,000 damage. 2 stars, we have between 250,000 and 500,000. For 3 stars, between 500,000 and 750,000 damage. 4 stars, between 750,000 and 1 million. And then of course for the 5 star rank, it's more than 1 million damage. I also have a similar system in place for defensive abilities, but I split up the defense into 2 different categories. So first up, we have the rankings for the normal attacks. Again, I tried to make it as fair as possible, and I made multiple changes along the way. And then what you are seeing right now is the rankings for the super attacks. Now to start off with his offensive ability, Super Vegito is honestly an interesting unit because with just his raw attack power, he could easily reach the 3 star rank. However, due to the fact that he has the counter mechanic, this easily allows Vegito to eclipse 1 million damage, especially when you take into account the critical hits. For example, in this rotation right here, we can see that Vegito is being attacked a total of 3 times and can potentially be hit even more depending on the event. And granted, this isn't the best possible example of how hard his counters can hit, but during the first stages of an event, his counters can easily eclipse 300k per counter, and this honestly puts him much closer to the 2 million damage region. Against a boss like Super 17, his attacks of course aren't going to be as effective as they were during the first stage, but if we move on to Super 17's weakened state, each counter hits for around 200k, and that's with neutral typing and no critical hits. So overall, when it comes to the ranking, I honestly believe that he deserves a 5 star ranking, even though he does rely on the counters. Now let's talk about the best teams upon his release and the best teams now. So to start things off with the best teams, upon his release, it's honestly interesting to see how much the team has evolved since then, and the units that you would never use now were actually some of the best in the game. And of course that comes down to the fact that they have improved these teams over time with the release of certain units. So to start things off, we are going to have a Super Vegito lead, of course. We are then going to have Ultimate Gohan, Super Saiyan God Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Base Gotenks, and then the last slot was interchangeable. We could have someone like Golden Frieza for the additional tanking of super attacks. You could have Super Saiyan Goten, Whis for shocking speed, his chance to stun as well as the healing once per event. Even Kaioken Goku was an incredible choice because he has shocking speed and over in a flash. But as you can tell, there really weren't that many units with the Prepare for Battle link in this optimal team. The majority of them either had over in a flash or shocking speed, which is somewhat similar to what it's like now, but it depends massively on the lead that you are using. But of course, I will be going into more detail in a moment. Now this is where it gets a bit more complicated just because they decided to split the hero and villain leads, but you can combine them again with a lead like LR Margin Vegeta. But the current best team that does include Super Vegito consists of a double Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta lead, Super Vegito. You can either use Super Saiyan Blue Goku or Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, Base Bardock, as well as the new Pan. So overall, very solid team with a ton of offensive and defensive abilities, with a lot of support from units like Bardock and Pan. And to be honest, I strongly believe that if it wasn't for Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's leader skill, Super Vegito would be the superior unit. He provides a lot more offensively, which is honestly the most important thing in the current meta. He tanks for double-digit damage like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. He may not be able to tank super attacks as well as Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, but honestly, I believe that he would be the superior unit if it wasn't for the leader skill, but that's a completely different discussion for a different video. But if you were to put Super Vegito on an LR Majin Vegeta team, what would it look like? Well, of course, if you were to combine heroes and villains again, we would either use a Super Vegito or Majin Vegeta lead, but 99% of the time, you're going to be using Majin Vegeta if you have access to him. Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, Super Saiyan Rose. Now, this is where you can really start to play around with the options that you have, because you can either go down the shocking speed route of Super 17 and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, or you can use Bardock and Super Saiyan 2 Gohan for the attack boost that they provide, as well as the key for Majin Vegeta, because there really aren't that many optimal units with Over in a Flash for agility at the moment, apart from Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. So you definitely have multiple choices here. It just comes down to what you personally want to use, but these are the best options so far. And moving on to the final area of the video, we have the relevance upon release and the relevance now. And just for the sake of showing you guys how I'm going to be doing the rankings in the future for particular units, I will be showing you guys the benchmarks. So for 1-star is a unit that is literally the last option. 2-star, not great, but not completely awful. For a 3-star ranking, decent, has some uses here and there. 4 stars, suboptimal, literally on the brink of being optimal. And then of course for 5 stars, we have an optimal unit. Of course for Super Vegito, upon his release, how relevant was he? Well, he was the best card in the game upon his release and for several months after, which means he gets a solid 5 stars. And for his relevance now, he also gets a 5-star ranking. And now for my overall ranking of the unit Super Vegito, he is easily going to get 5 stars. Absolutely phenomenal unit from his leader skill to his link set. Still the only unit in the game that even comes close to perfect. The only thing holding him back, of course, is the fact that he can't tank super attacks. And what you are seeing right now is basically the start of me ranking every unit that I'm going to be covering, with Super Vegito being the very first unit to join the 5-star overall ranking. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. And I know it's just the first video, but if you could reach 1,000 likes, I would greatly appreciate it. But before you leave, there should be a poll in the top right that will allow you to vote for the next unit that you want to see. But as always, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one.